More on linear equations? Okay, sign me up. First one, you're given a point, you're given a slope, and we have to use this point-slope formula. These are things that will not be given to you on the test. So I have y. The y stays the same. Subtract. This is my y1, so I'm going to subtract 2. It's equal to my slope is 3/5. And then in parentheses, your x stays the same. The only thing that you change is your x1 and y1. And then it'll be subtract, and in this case it's a -5. So this becomes a plus plus. I have to distribute my 3/5 in, so that gives me a y minus 2 is equal to 3/5 x plus 3. 3/5 times 5 would give me 3. And then I have to add my 2 over. So it would be y equals 3/5 x plus 5. Pause and do B right now. Next, it's always very important that you're reading the directions carefully, because in this problem, I have to figure out what the point-slope form equation is. So I don't have to keep on going like that last problem. I just have to write in point-slope. But first, I have my 2 points, so I have to first find the slope. Find slope. So this is going back to the last chapter, using your slope equation. So we have our difference of y, so I'm going to do 2 minus 8 over 3 minus 5. It doesn't matter which one you choose, you should still get the same answer. So I have -6 over -2, which is the same thing as 3, so that's my m. Now, there's 2 different answers we could have here. Using our point slope, remember the y stays the same. And I'm going to use this first point first, so -2 is equal to 3, and then x minus 3, that's one equation because it's in point slope form. Or we could have y minus 8 is equal to 3. The slope stays the same because it's still in between those 2 points, minus 5. So either one would work. So pause and do B by yourself. Now here we're talking about your standard form. Standard form has an integer a and integer b, and it's equal to an integer. Integer just does not have any decimals or fractions in it. So for this first one, when I'm writing in standard form, I first have to subtract the 3/4 over. So I have -3/4 x plus y is equal to -5. Now, whenever you have a fraction, you want to get rid of that. So I'm going to multiply this whole thing, the whole equation, by 4, because that's what's on the denominator. So I have to do to each term on both sides of the equation. So when I do this first one, 4 times -3/4, that will just give me a -3x. 4 times y will give me plus 4y. And 4 times -5 will give me a -20. So this would be in standard form. Try to do B by yourself. Hint, this is in the 10th spot. This decimal's in the 10th spot. Here, graphing with intercepts. So what I like to do first is, here's my equation. I like to write my x-intercept, this is an intercept. So that means if I have an x-intercept, 0's for y, and I'm going to write a spot for my y-intercept. That's if I have a y-intercept, that means 0 for x. So that's what I do first. And I'm actually going to zoom in quick to work on that. So here's the equation that I use. For x-intercept, I'm plugging 0 in for y. So it's same for x-intercept, that means 0's for y. This cancels each other out because 0 times 5. So now I can divide by 3, and I get x is equal to 5. So that would be my x-intercept. Now it's using the same equation here, except now I'm having 0 for x. So 3 times 0 plus 5y is equal to 15. Again, these cancel, so I have to divide by 5 on both sides, and I get y is equal to 3. So those are my 2 intercepts. Now it's nice to graph with an intercept, because once you have 2 points, you draw that straight line in between it. And I have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, and 0, positive 3. And just like that, there's my line. Beautiful. Try to be by yourself. Next, we have parallel lines. We have perpendicular lines. Parallel lines, they're never going to cross, never going to cross, never going to cross. They have the exact same slope, but their y-intercepts are different. So that's why they're never going to cross. perpendicular cross and then create that 90 degrees where they cross. Now, if you're perpendicular, they're opposite. So if one is positive, the other one is negative. And if this one, let's say, this looks pretty steep, is 5, the reciprocal of 5 is 1 over 5. Remember, you're flipping that fraction. I'm going to do A and B. You're going to do C and D. It's going to be a great time. So first thing is, actually, because A and B are easier, I'm going to do B and C. B and C is what I'm going to do. So first, I'm doing perpendicular. This one's easier because of the fact that it already gives me in y equals form. So I know my m. My m is equal to -4. So if I want perpendicular to that, opposite reciprocal would be, opposite would be it's going to be positive, and the reciprocal of 4 would be 1 over 4. So now this is the slope I'm using. So this is my new slope. I have my point. This is where I want to use my point slope formula. So it's y minus y1 is my 5. So y minus 5 is equal to my slope. I have to use my perpendicular slope, so that's 1/4. X minus x1, which is your 8 right here. And then you distribute. So I distribute my 1/4. I get 1/4 x minus 2. 1/4 times -8 is -2. And then add over your 5. So y is equal to 1/4 x plus 3. You can always check this. You can graph this new equation that we just had in your graphing calculator and graph your original and see if they cross and what it looks like to be perpendicular. And then my next one, B, or C, I mean, the reason I am doing C instead of A is because in this one, the y is not by itself first. So the first thing I have to do is get this by itself. So I'm going to subtract the 4x. So you always want to make sure that your initial equation is in slope-intercept form. Now I'm going to divide by 2. Remember, everything has to be divided by 2. So my original equation is y equals -4 divided by 2 is -2x plus 7/2. I don't care about this. Even though this looks like, oh, icky, I don't care about this. The only reason I'm doing this is so I can have my slope. My slope here is -2, and when it's parallel, it's going to be the same. So again, I use my my point slope form, y minus y1 equals my slope, x minus x1. Distribute this, this becomes plus plus. So I have y plus 2 is equal to -2 plus 8, because it's a -2 times a -4, and then subtract the 2. So y is equal to -2x plus 6. Same thing here. You can plug this into your y equals, and then you could also plug this into your y equals, this equation right here, and see if they're parallel. That's all I got for you today. Do A and D and have a great day while you're at it.